En mörk uendelig mark.
Welcome to Views from the World Tree. On today's episode, we have a special guest, the random dude, Josh, from the Undercover Capes Podcast. We take our first look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, chronologically, up through the first Avengers film. And now, on with the show.
All right, for our new segment, I'll go ahead and start it off this week. Welcome, Josh, by the way. Great to have you here.
Pleasure to be here. I'm really excited. I've actually been looking forward to this for a good while now. So,
yeah. So for news, not a whole lot going on in my life, personal news. So I figured I'd share some world news, and I'm going to throw my co-host for a bit of a loop because this is not what I had in the notes. But
how dare you?
I'm glad you're sitting down.
So I just discovered this, pun intended, maybe. No. Dirty Jobs, the TV show Dirty Jobs, has a new season for the first time after 15 years, I think. I just discovered it earlier today. Apparently it premiered on January 2nd. So that's what I was doing just before we started recording.
I saw that. I actually have to laugh because when I was thinking about my news, I'm like, oh, I've been rewatching this on Discovery Plus and just going like all Discovery Plus. But I feel like the last 4 weeks I've been talking about Discovery Plus, so I chose not to. And then you decided to.
I'm not going to lie. That's part of the reason I decided to. So now you've got one more show on there you can watch.
Fair. I like it. New seasons. How is it?
It's good. Focusing a little bit less on the dirty job aspect and more on, because he has like this nonprofit foundation now where he tries to encourage people to, go learn a trade rather than go to college and get into tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And so it's focusing kind of more on that and on the stories of these workers that maybe didn't have the chance to go to college, but they're still, doing something they love and making decent money at it.
I like it. I wish I would have been told college isn't for everybody when I was younger.
Me too. Or at least decided on what my final major was going to be instead of having to switch it up 3 or 4 times and start over.
Yeah,
No comment.
I think we all kind of do that. What do you mean, no comment?
I mean, I made the mistake and went to one of those schools that say it's a for-profit school, and it was just bad juju. That's the best way to put it.
Was it Western Governors or Trump University?
I think I would have had a better chance graduating from either one of those than where I went. It's so bad that I don't even have a desire to say the name of the school because I don't want to give them any more attention.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's bad. It was bad.
We've all been there.
Yeah, been there, done that. Don't want the t-shirt.
Fair. Anything else from your end?
That was it for me. What about you? What's going on this week?
Man, yours was so short and sweet, and then I feel like I wrote a freaking novel on the notes. No, I kind of like you. I was perusing the internet and I found this. If you're a Top Gun fan or Top Gear fan, you might enjoy that. But no, I saw a petition, a grassroots petition from a group in Berlin that was trying to make the city center car free and make it a bike zone only. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I lived in New York for a couple of years, and it's definitely not car free in the city, but there's no reason it couldn't be. So
yeah, I guess Berlin's got this train track loop that goes around the outskirts of it. I've never been there myself, but everything inside of the passenger train loop is going to. The petition wants that to be car free, and it's gained enough signatures that the council is actually going to vote on it here soon. So it could become the biggest car free zone in America, or in the world. I am caffeine deprived or something.
Words are hard. I get it.
I'm just so excited to have Josh here. It's throwing me for a loop.
It got you all flustered.
Yeah. The magic of editing, though I know you won't edit that out because any chance you can get to embarrass me, you will keep. So,
Hey, the listeners love what the listeners love, and they love it when Steve gets humiliated. So,
no, was that on camera? My bad.
fair. Yeah. Other than that, I've actually made it 3 weeks straight of doing some sort of cardio exercise every day. So either walking, hiking, or biking every day. And it's strange because today I didn't want to stop. I was out there for my lunch period. I was walking. And then about an hour, after an hour's worth of walking, I kind of looked down and I went, I don't want to go back to work. I just want to stay out here. So either my cardio is getting better or I've been having some really hard days and I just didn't want to go back to work. Either way, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and say it could be both.
Fair.
You're a better man than I. I cannot stand cardio. I'll throw weights all day, but no, I hate cardio.
I am not a big fan of it myself. I kind of dislike it. I love lifting weights, but I don't know. I've been looking at a possible career change and looking at the Fish and Wildlife or possibly Colorado Parks and Wildlife. And unfortunately, they have fitness standards that I don't quite meet. So just trying to get that in.
Cool.
I had a job like that once as an order selector at a warehouse, and I should have known what I was getting myself into when they're like, hey, you're going to have to lift this much in this much amount of time. And I'm like, okay. And about halfway through, I was like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I tip my hat to the people who could do that sort of work, but nah, not for me.
Not for you.
No.
That's all right. Josh, do you want to share personal news, anything? I know you've been following Broncos country. Or do you want to skip that part?
You know what's interesting about what's going on with Broncos country right now? The bidding war. I mean, now that the lawsuit with the Kaisers is done, the Broncos are going to be looking for a new owner. And from what I was reading, Elway's getting his group together, and Peyton Manning is getting a separate group together. So there's a strong possibility that Peyton Manning could actually become a part of the Broncos ownership.
So,
Which,
so what
to
you're
be
saying
honest,
is
I'd
we're
be
going to
okay
have our
with.
very own Avengers Civil War thing going on.
Yes. To be honest,
Nice tie-in.
I would be okay with Peyton Manning. I feel he is the I feel he's the Captain America, where Elway's he's the Tony Stark. I mean, you've got Elway dealerships all over the Front Range. So
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we're going to go back and record the intro later because it feels like we kind of jumped in.
I was like, okay, we're running with this, so here I go.
That's quite fair. No, I guess Tony Stark is kind of a genius, though, and I don't feel like Elway is. I think he's been hit in the head 10 too many times.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel that Elway has lost his celebrity appeal in Colorado, especially after the last few seasons?
No, everybody still knows his name.
Well,
Peyton's a bigger name, though.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I read one thing that said that Mike Shanahan should come back, and I was like, no, that ship set sail.
Let him stay retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. But, I mean, that was the biggest one as far as Broncos country, the head coaching stuff. I mean, I wish they would go for someone who's actually been a head coach and not give all these guys... Like, I'm all for coaches having the opportunity to progress, but for a program like the Broncos, they really need to get back to what we're used to. And new coaches, I don't think will do that.
Fair. You're talking to somebody that basically only watches playoff football, though, so...
I mean, I stopped watching after last week, so it's fine. It's cool. It's fine. It's whatever.
There you go. Well, I know we kind of already talked about the Broncos country. Do you have any other personal news to share with us, Josh?
You know, I finally got to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I loved it. I know some people said that they didn't like it or that the story kind of felt flat. But to be honest, I thought they did a great job tying in things from Ghostbusters 1 and 2, primarily 1, but having a lot of the Easter eggs from the original movie brought into this. I thought it was a job well done and an awesome tribute to the late Harold Ramey.
Awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It definitely does not pay any attention to that 2016 mess that we had of a movie. So as far as continuity is concerned, you don't have to worry. No reference is made to that whatsoever.
That's actually kind of good to know because that movie
horrendous,
almost ruined the series for me.
Yeah, that was one of those movies that should have been like a straight to DVD release. Yeah, and that's me being nice about it.
Fair.
Other than that, I mean, not a whole lot going on with me. It's just work and podcasting. Hence
there
why
you
I'm
go.
here.
You had so much fun doing your own podcast, you decided to grace us with on ours?
I mean, a longtime friend and someone I would consider a brother did ask me to come onto the show. So I felt honored to be here.
I guess there is that, yeah.
You say that with such... Oh, crap.
The way you said it, it sounds like, yeah, my longtime friend strong-armed me and I felt guilty, so I had to be here.
You didn't strong-arm me. You asked me once, and I was like, yes. I was like, just let me know when.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Nothing else from me.
Again, welcome. I'm very excited for you to be here, even if I had to strong arm you.
Okay, if that's the route we're going.
Adam, are you wanting to introduce our main?
If you'd like me to, I sure can.
Guess I could introduce it and turn in my nerd card by saying I have to admit that I suck at these movies and the comic book movies are not my thing. I'll let you introduce it. I think I introduced the wolf pack last time.
Okay. Well, for our main topic this week, like Steve said in the intro, we wanted to go ahead and take a look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This may be kind of a semi-recurring theme where we take a look at movies. Maybe not. We'll have to see how this goes. But so Steve, as he alluded to, has only seen up through kind of the first Avengers movie and the second Thor movie. So we figured we're not going to spoil anything for him, even though some of those have been out for like 10 years now. And we'll just go for
honesty. If I haven't seen it by this time, like, you can just spoil away. So if conversation diverts beyond what I've seen, I'm okay with it. But yeah.
Well, there's plenty of movies anyway, so it's all good. So we were going to go from Captain America up through the first Avengers. Just kind of take a look at each of them, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and maybe kind of what we think the underlying message for each movie is, or maybe some of the things we can learn from them. So that was the plan. We'll see if we stick to it or not.
Well, the show could go off the rails or it could stay on. You never know. So, the very first movie, I guess, Captain America, the first Avenger, takes place in 1941. Captain America is a BA and kicks Nazi Germany's butt. So, I don't know. Did I miss anything else? Anything on the synopsis?
I mean, the synopsis is whatever you want to say.
That was my takeaway. Captain America's amazing, and he kicks some Nazis in the butt.
I would definitely say that there's more to it than just that. We were able to really see Steve Rogers' resilience and the type of character that he is. And obviously, taking place in 1941, he's not influenced by the modern world at this point. So still kind of living under the 40s mindset and how he conducts himself. You know, if you were to, and I realize we'll get into this a little bit later, but you look at how Steve is in the first Avenger and compare him to later on, and you can definitely tell that while the core values are the same, the way he acts and the way he is definitely changes throughout each movie based on the time that he's in, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. One thing that I like about Captain America, the first Avenger, is so there's kind of this trope in superhero movies where you have this ordinary person, you know, in Steve Rogers' case, this skinny little kid from Brooklyn. And all of a sudden, through some freak accident or, you know, whatever, they suddenly find themselves, you know, endowed with superpowers. And if it's not done right, it can, I don't know, it can kind of feel just blah. The thing I like about this movie is it does such a good job, like you said, Josh, focusing on Steve Rogers' character and the strength that he has inside, that when, you know, he gets these superpowers from the serum that they were developing, it really feels cohesive. It doesn't feel, you know, shoehorned in like with some other superheroes.
Yeah. Although the one thing that I found interesting, and maybe this is just me being more biased towards the other company, DC, but I feel like the route of He volunteered. He gets this super serum, and boom! All of a sudden, now he's a superhero. It doesn't seem to have as much of a tragedy-based origin as compared to, say, Iron Man, as Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, even. He just was like, "Hey, I'll do it. I volunteer as tribute," and next thing we know, he has the super strength, and away he goes.
I feel like, sorry to jump in, but I feel like the movie tried to show that, right, with him being sickly, him being too light to make the military, his desire was so much, and he kept getting shot down, right? And so it's not Bruce Wayne losing his parents. It's not Superman losing Krypton. It's not. DC is great at the tragedy creating the super.
Yeah.
I feel like Stan Lee was very much like the super to counteract the tragedy is kind of how he did it, which to each their own. But I do feel like there was a little bit of that that buildup of, oh, you can't join the military, you're too weak. You can't join the military, you wear glasses. You can't join the military, all these things of why he can't.
Yeah.
Kind of built up on why he worked with Tony Stark's dad to become.
Yeah. One little detail. Stan Lee actually did not create Captain America. He was created by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon.
That's awesome.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
Jack Kirby, he had a lot of, his hand was in a lot of characters. Obviously, he did a lot with Stan, but yeah, this is one of those ones that one of those characters that Stan Lee did not create, and it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I know that a little bit of information, it kind of makes sense on why his origin is not quite the same or similar to the rest of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good story. It's got some strengths. It's got some weaknesses. So,
and it was what the first. This was the start of Phase 1, because I don't think we could consider Iron Man as Iron Man's like the start of the MCU. But I feel like Captain America was the kind of Phase 1.
Chronologically, I believe that this is the start.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So if we're going
set earliest, it was released 3 years after Iron Man.
Okay.
So you had Iron Man, you had Incredible Hulk. I think they had kind of left the door open because they wanted to see where it kind of, if Iron Man was a success. And then based on how well that movie did, I think I want to say Captain America, again, other than the Hulk, which we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Captain America was when they decided, okay, we're going to actually make this a thing and start tying things together.
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of tying things together and making this into an actual intellectual property, should we jump on to the next one?
Well, I kind of like the idea of our personal ratings that you put in the show notes. I don't know if we want to do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I guess I'll start since I brought it up. As far as Captain America goes, I loved the origin story. I loved kicking Nazis in the butt. It's always fun. I did not like how his character was kind of forced to be a show monkey rather than an actual soldier for the longest time in that. And I know that's just flavor of me, but yeah. So I'd put it probably 75% on the score, 75 out of 100. Parts of it I really liked, parts of it I didn't. Pacing was a little fast for me. Storyline was a little bit too predictable.
Okay. So if I had to rate it, I'd rate it maybe just a bit higher. I rated it an 85 in my notes. Most of why I marked it down was kind of what you alluded to about the pacing. I feel like, and this kind of goes back to a little bit of what Josh was saying, where the origin story is a little bit weak on this one. I think they could have split it almost into two films. You had one tell about his history, kind of the struggles that he had to go through, him getting superpowers, and then have the second movie be, fighting the Nazis. But that's kind of my problem with it. There's just too much in there, and it covers too much too fast. So 85%.
Cool.
I would have to give this one an 80%. I mean, overall, the experience was awesome. A lot of action, a lot of humor. I would agree the pacing was a little wonky for me. The whole musical stuff. That's a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go get something to drink, run to the bathroom. I don't have to worry about pausing the movie because I could just let this go. So that part, take it or leave it. But at the end of the day, this is setting up, the Avengers. So it is kind of that necessity to get the story moving. So would I say it's the best? No. Was it a great experience? Absolutely.
Excellent.
I like it. All right. Steve, I guess you gave us the synopsis for Captain America, so I'll go ahead and give some background on the next one. Next, chronologically, is Captain Marvel. This is set in the 1990s. Main character is Carol Danvers. She's a test pilot for the Air Force. And so we get to go on her with her journey as she becomes one of the most powerful heroes in the universe. We also get to see a young Agent Nick Fury, and again, kind of helping to set up the whole Avengers initiative. So I think that about covers the actual synopsis. What did you guys think of this one?
It's funny. This was at the start of the pandemic. My wife and I, we decided we wanted to watch some movies chronologically. We found a list on the internet. Had just gotten Disney Plus. We're like, oh, we're going to watch them. We're going to watch them. We're going to watch them. So this was the second one that I watched after not touching these movies since, I don't know, when did Thor 2 come out?
I don't remember.
A long time ago.
2013, maybe?
I'm going to look that up real quick. Second Thor came out in 2013. So I have not watched a single one of these movies since 2013. Watching it, it was new. It was exciting. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the 90s music, the 90s vibes. It felt like I was back in high school with the music, with the setting, with the whole crashing into a Blockbuster. I used to work at Blockbuster. Like, there was so much that I just loved about the setting. As far as the movie itself, meh. It did a good job of introducing the Avengers initiative. It did a good job developing Nick Fury. Like you said, it did a lot to kind of lay the foundation of the universe. And I really, really wanted to like Captain Marvel. I thought that her character was going to be intriguing, but something did fall flat, in my opinion. So, yeah, trying to rack my brain. I've only seen the movie once, and that's about all I have on it.
Yeah, fight scenes choreographed to no doubt. That's all you have to remember, right?
Right, and that's why I want to give it 100%. But let's face it, not the entire movie was not a fight scene choreographed to no doubt. So,
So I'll jump right in on this one. I would agree that the '90s nostalgia was probably the highlight of the movie for me. You know, seeing the blockbuster again, and just everything kind of around that time period just brought back so many memories. The biggest issue that I had was not so much the story, but I look at kind of the time period of when Captain Marvel came out, and I've mentioned this on other shows with Undercover Capes, but I feel like this movie was subjected to the politics of the time, not the '90s, but like here and now. And that was the issue that I had with it. It wasn't, hey, let's write this amazing story based off of this character with this huge history. No, we're going to create a superhero movie and inject the politics into it. That's where my issue was. And it's unfortunate because it had so much great potential. But, you know, it is what it is. It's still a great film. But I can't get over the fact that the moment that a political agenda was injected into the movie, that's the part that I'm like, nope. No bueno for me.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think that's a big part of why it still kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth whenever I rewatch it or whenever I talk about it, even, you know, a few years later, because of trying to inject some of the things like you mentioned, because they did that, the movie really does have shortcomings in the storytelling and kind of with the way that they did a few other things. And because of the political controversy that surrounded it when it came out, I feel like anytime the movie comes up in discussion today, if you say that you dislike the movie, then, you know, people automatically jump to that political space and they're saying, oh, well, you don't like this because, you know, it's a movie with a female lead. And, you know, no, that's not true. Like, it has nothing to do with it. The movie really does have some legitimate problems.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to be critical of it because some people try to, you know, bring it back around to the political controversy from when it came out.
It's unfortunate that that's a thing because it really had some fantastic moments. I mean, the fight on the train that Captain Marvel has with, oh my gosh, my brain, the shapeshifters,
The scroll?
the scroll, and then obviously being able to see how, spoiler, how Nick Fury lost his eye. I mean, you know how we get a movie and they put all the good parts out in the trailer? I feel like that was Captain Marvel. We got all the best parts in the trailer. So if you want to avoid the political BS and just watch the good parts, just watch the extended trailer. She'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
That's a very fair point. I didn't think about the trailer showing everything. It kind of did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Hollywood's downfall, I tell you.
Well,
All right, scores for this one. I had some other stuff in the notes, but I'm not going to touch it.
yeah, you had a little bit of a soapbox rant in there.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll save it for, maybe I'll save it for my own vlog. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So as far as a score on this one, I don't know. It's tough. If we're separating all the political crap from it, I feel it's maybe a 60 to 65. So that's where I'm going to stick it. Just let it stay there.
Fair.
Steve, what do you think?
All right. So in the notes, I rated it pretty high, just because I love the 90s nostalgia. But after talking about it and remembering a lot of the movie as we were discussing it, I kind of remember its shortfalls. But I still am going to put it at about a 70. The nostalgia factor was great. The soundtrack was amazing. I would listen to that soundtrack like over and over, and I'm a big music guy. I love the music. Story kind of fell flat for me in places. It was great in others. It was really exciting to see this amazing character, but I feel like they did not do her justice.
I would agree. I would put this at a... I'm bouncing between 65 and 70. I can't get over the whole political agenda put into the movie. That I'm gonna have to go 65. The nostalgia is great. I would agree. The soundtrack is great. It was a missed opportunity, and so I'm gonna go with Adam. And yeah, 65.
Awesome.
It has nothing to do with the fact that he has that majestic beard.
You know what? I don't blame you if it did have something to do with the beard.
It has been known to hypnotize a few people in the past. So.
Actually, looking at it, for those of you that are not watching this and listening to this, Adam's got enough facial hair now that he could probably do like the double braid that you see in World of Warcraft with the dwarves and get away with it.
He could Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form suggesting, Adam, that you do this. I think people would revolt if you do. But if you did, you could shave off the beard and there'd be enough. It would make a toupee for me. But I can't stress enough. I'm in no way, shape, or form insinuating that you shave that thing off.
I think my wife would probably divorce me if I did. So.
I mean, I did it once, and my stepkids avoided me. My wife's friends asked her why I had all of a sudden become hideous. So,
it's because you've got a little bit of a Benjamin Button thing going on. Your facial hair goes away, and you've got like baby Einfeld. Sorry, I didn't mean to dox you. We can bleep that
fine.
out.
No, I go from having like somewhat of an actual chin line to no chin.
Yeah,
it's bad. Moving on.
By the way, we can edit out your last name. I didn't mean to.
No, it's good. It's fine.
Okay,
it's all good.
I guess we've each introduced one. So,
do you want me to introduce the next?
Yes, you're the comic book guy. There's a reason why we brought you.
Okay, all right. So next up on the list, we've got Iron Man. This was the third movie in the timeline, but the first movie to kick off what we now know as the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is our first introduction to Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.'s brilliant performance, and the only person that I can honestly believe will ever be able to play Tony Stark. Just a brief synopsis: the billionaire industrialist, genius inventor Tony Stark is living that billionaire life. Kind of honestly puts Bruce Wayne to shame, the way he lives it. However, in one of his tests overseas, he ends up being kidnapped, and sees his own weapons being used in a manner that he didn't like. So he ends up getting out of that situation, completely changing his view of the world, and uses his wealth and his knowledge to build a pretty fantastic suit. I may say, that original Mark suit, not the one in the mountains, but the one with the hot rod red and gold. That suit was probably my favorite, but uses this technology to take back what is his. I thought from a development standpoint, we really get a full glimpse of Tony Stark's transformation. And again, I put that on both the writing and Robert Downey Jr.'s ability to take this material and really make it his own. You see various outlets where Robert Downey Jr. is still in character of Tony Stark. And he lives it. He truly embodied who Tony Stark is. And honestly, it was such a fun movie. It's one of those ones, it is an origin movie. So if you get tired of origin movies, just take that and set it aside, because this one's worth watching over and over again. At least I feel it is. What do I know? It sets the stage for the future movies. It sets the stage for the Avengers moving forward. And all in all, it's just a really good time. I honestly, I really can't say anything bad about the movie, other than the fact that I feel like Jeff Johns should have cast me to be a young Obadiah. I could have pulled it off. So, Marvel, Disney, if you're watching, have your people call my people if you want to do a younger Obadiah movie.
Love it.
Oh, man. Shameless self-promotion. I love it.
It's what I do.
Go ahead.
Go for it, Adam. Sorry.
1, 2, 3, not it. So, I want to echo what you said, Josh. Great character arc, great character development. One thing that kind of entered my mind as you were talking, you talked about how a lot of it's obviously the writing and the direction, but a lot of it is also what Robert Downey Jr. brought to the character. And part of me wonders if he saw in the character of Tony Stark almost a reflection of his own life, because just a few years before he was cast as Iron Man, he was having a lot of substance abuse problems. He had been arrested. He was in and out of rehab. And you kind of see Tony Stark go through a similar character building experience to what Robert Downey Jr. himself went through. You can see him kind of develop this guilt that's directed at those behaviors that he was engaging in, and kind of put that aside and say, okay, that's the old me. Now I'm going to change who I am as a person and focus on more wholesome calling in life, I guess. So
it's very
I like
astute.
it.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think?
This one was my favorite. If every single movie was written and acted the way that the original Iron Man and Iron Man 2 were, sorry, we'll go on to Iron Man 2 next. If everything was written the way that these were, I probably would still be watching all these Marvel movies like religiously, like I do Star Wars or any of those, because, loved it. I love the technology in it. I love, in my notes, in my rating, I kind of said Tony Stark is Marvel's version of Bruce Wayne with a bigger ego.
And a bigger budget, unfortunately, or a bigger net worth.
Yeah. Well, he's multimillionaire. He's not just in Gotham City, but, well, I guess Wayne Enterprises is too. Wrong podcast. No, I love it. And I love the way he responded to seeing these weapons that he was developing and seeing the harm that they actually cause, and like becoming a one-man crusade to end injustice. It's really cool and probably one of my favorites.
It's also our introduction to Jarvis, and you can't go wrong with Jarvis.
It's true.
No, you can't. I guess since I was the last talk, I'll be first to rate. Yeah, this is easily 90 plus for me. Writing, acting, directing, cinematics, everything. It hits everything that you want in an action movie, and more. So 90, 95.
Yeah, same for me. Low to mid 90s.
I would definitely give it a 93. The only thing that really kind of knocks it down was the whole final fight with Obadiah was a little lackluster. I feel like they could have gone a different route with it, but it was just kind of like, okay. I mean, he builds his own version of the original, the prototype suit, and kind of got Lex Luthered.
Yeah.
Because that's now going to be a thing. Make a bigger suit and you end up failing.
Yeah.
So that's Iron Man 1.
All right, Iron Man 2. Let's find my notes, because it's been a while. So basically, Iron Man 2 picks up where it was lost. You got Tony Stark, who has decided that he doesn't want to sell his technology to the military and whatnot, and doesn't want to give up the secrets of his suit, doesn't want to have an army of Iron Men for the military and all of that. And so it's kind of a standoff between Stark Industries and the military, trying to figure out how much to give the military while honoring contracts without breaking contracts and whatnot. And you also have a very angry Russian who lost his father, who wants to take revenge. Did I miss anything?
No?
I don't think so.
This one, everything that I liked about the first movie, I feel like they tried to continue, fell flat in places. Pacing, maybe not the best of the Iron Man movies, but it was still extremely well written. I mean, anytime you have Robert Downey Jr. and Mickey Rourke sharing a screen, there's going to be some amazingness. Josh is making a face, so I don't know if he'll agree, but we'll get back to him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like the acting was okay. The pacing was a little bit off. Special effects were a little bit off, and because of the whole trying to build and hide prototypes and like other people trying to build and hide prototypes, and it felt a little bit too much like a shadow of the first movie to me. So the first movie built up this amazing plot line, amazing story. Second movie's like, oh, the first one did really well, so we're just gonna do the same thing and label it differently. So that's me. Agree or don't agree. I'm probably going to get some hate mail on this one, but
I mean, if we really want to go more in depth on it, I'll just have you guys come onto our show and we can hash it out some more. So, Adam, what do you think? I can see it in your eye. You're chomping at the bit here.
This one's, I don't know. I think this one fell prey to a few things that were going on in the real world at the time. So about the time that this one was, being made, you had Disney taking over Marvel. You had the MCU head honchos, saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and create the MCU. And so I guess if I had to sum this one up, I would say it doesn't hold up super great on its own, but as a way of connecting Iron Man into the greater MCU and setting up future movies, it does a great job. And I feel like that is what the purpose of this movie was, rather than making it a cohesive story that stands on its own. So
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, but I feel like Iron Man 2 fell victim to the stigma of the sequel. It had some really great parts. The for example, the scene with the Senate committee, I thought was one of the best. Tony squaring off against the senators, hacking their systems and showing Hammer's prototype, going to crap. I mean, all of that was absolutely hilarious. I feel like Mickey Rourke's character was kind of just like Obadiah and some of the other characters, a missed opportunity. As far as they could have done a lot more of it and focused. They could have either stuck with Mickey Rourke or focus on the government aspect of it. It threw me off having Don Cheadle put in as Rhodey, but it worked out for the best. It was one of the few casting changes. It's not like a Rachel Dawes scenario, if I can put it that way. I'm going to make DC plugs all night. Just be aware.
that's all right. You're a DC guy.
I really am. I think the other thing to keep in mind with Iron Man 2 is this was, if I'm correct, the second movie that Jon Favreau had directed. He directed the first Iron Man. This was the second. So this is also his kind of feeling for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now, I mean, he's one of the prize directors in Hollywood, for that matter. granted, this wasn't his first rodeo. I mean, his first.
Wasn't he?
He also played
Transformers?
Happy. No, Transformers was Michael Bay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he had done a few movies before. I think the biggest movie he did prior to Iron Man and Iron Man 2 was Elf, which one of the best Christmas movies on the planet. If you don't like it, well, I weep for your humanity. But I mean, we're getting a whole new world, not a Disney reference at all. But this movie definitely fell flat as far as it suffered the sequel stigma, which is unfortunate.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think you hit it. I just pulled up his Wikipedia, which is always the top resource when doing anything, right?
So I went to IMDb.
Well, it's saying that he directed Iron Man 2, and then he ended up being executive producer of basically the rest of the Avengers films.
That's why they're awesome.
Because it's his money and not his directing. I mean, I'm just playing.
I know.
No, I mean, he became a big name in the Avengers, and he's kind of turning into a big name in the Star Wars universe now, too. So he's done good things.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Where do we think
I feel
we
like
wanna
we went
rate-
off the rails a little bit.
Where do we think we want to rate this one?
Hold on, let me
Y'all
roll
making
a
the same face.
let me roll a D20 here. Yeah, that didn't
Ooh,
help.
that low? Huh?
I mean, it's better than the 2016 Ghostbusters. I'm setting the bar real low here, guys. We'll go 67%.
Here you go.
I think that's fair.
Acting?
I
Oh, sorry.
had it
go.
at 65. I'm going to go 70 just based on Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. Just because.
Acting, directing, visual effects can only take the movie so far. I kind of agree. Having two bad guys, not that the government is the bad guy, is necessarily a bad guy, but like having two counter heroes, counter stories going on, got convoluted. It got hard. I'm going to go. I'm going 65 as well.
Worked for me.
All right. And just one thing to amend there. The government is definitely a bad guy, in case there's any question.
Yes.
Sorry, not to get political.
Not to be political, but to be political.
That's like saying, with all due respect, and then say something totally disrespectful.
Yeah, you got to preface it with that, right?
No, I like it. No.
Anyway.
I don't know if the government being a bad guy is enough to hold and be an entire movie villain, is what I was trying to say.
Gotcha.
No
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Incredible Hulk. We're going to have to talk about it at some point. Bruce Banner is a scientist. He had, an accident, exposed to gamma radiation, contaminated his cells, turned him into the Hulk. This movie is all about him being separated from his girlfriend, hiding from her dad, and just trying to live out his life in Brazil. But unfortunately, that didn't work out super great for him. They end up finding him. We've got is it Tim Roth that becomes the Abomination. So anyway, my take on this one, a couple of the good things. It threw out all of the weird stuff from the 2003 Hulk movie and just took it back to a basic, Hulk smash. And I also liked the way that they put the origin story in the opening credits. The whole lab accident with the gamma radiation. I mean, everybody knows that story, whether it's from other Hulk films or the 70s TV show. There's no need to rehash it. So I liked that they did that. As far as bad stuff, this one, I don't know. They just can't seem to figure out this movie. I'm not sure why, but maybe one of you gentlemen has an idea on that.
Okay, I'll just get it over with because I don't want to. I don't know what it is about the Hulk solo movies, but I feel like they've struggled trying to find its own. I mean, from the first monstrosity to this one, I don't know. To be honest, I didn't like either one. Whether it was Eric Bana or Edward Norton. Let's see, this came out in 2008,
I think.
I mean, we've got Liv Tyler in it. When did Armageddon come out? Because that was really kind of the
that was 98, right?
Yeah, it was 98. So it's kind of on the tail end of her acting career. I think she had that thing you do in between Armageddon and the Incredible Hulk. Honestly, I think the only highlight for this that I personally liked was the fact that Lou Ferrigno was the voice of Hulk. So once Bruce Banner changed, it wasn't Edward Norton's voice as Hulk. It was actually Lou Ferrigno who was the Hulk in the 70s. Aside from that, I went to a marathon. I think it was getting ready for Age of Ultron, where we were in the theater from Iron Man 1, or from, I think we did it chronologically. So Captain America all the way up to, or was it Civil War? I don't remember. One of those. But I slept through both Hulk movies. So that doesn't tell you how I felt about it. I don't know. I feel bad that this is one of the, between the Hulk and the Fantastic Four, they've never been able to truly get it right in film. Mark Ruffalo was great, but I mean, for a solo film, missed opportunity.
Yeah. I keep thinking back. I wanted to like this one. I like the Hulk idea, the whole idea of like two sides of you, your personality, like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of situation. It's amazing in theory. And I honestly think that the writers are to blame for how poor these movies have done, because he's written, even in his solo movies, he's written as a sidekick. There's not much redeeming writing to make him exciting. Like, he's got two sides of his personality. He's got meek, mild-mannered scientist who just wants to avoid being angry, and then the beast. Like, that's it. And I'm more engaged when he's a beast because that's something I don't see. I see meek, mild-mannered scientists all the time, and I don't get to see the beast. But unfortunately, he's so overcome by rage that he's not that interesting. It's just a CGI fest at that point without a lot of acting, and so there's not enough story to back up the Hulk as an individual character.
Well,
Now,
so
when he's sorry, go.
Let me jump in here for a sec. You talk about the writing on this. So the writer for the Incredible Hulk was Zach Penn. You take a look at his resume. He did the screenplay for Inspector Gadget with Matthew Broderick. He did X2, X-Men United. Elektra. I mean, I could go on and on.
That one.
But then all of a sudden he turns it around. The Avengers, he did the story for that. We'll talk about that one later. Ready Player One, he did the screenplay for that. He did the screenplay for Free Guy, the newest one of the newest movies with Ryan Reynolds. Fantastic movie. So it's like, where did the light switch turn on for him? Because he definitely wasn't hitting it in the early 2000s. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
Oh no, that's a fair point. I didn't even look up who the writer was. I was just going to blame the writers for just a one-sided character that nobody could relate to.
Well, now we have a name to blame.
If you ever stumble upon this in archives, I do apologize for calling you out, but your writing was crap at this time.
I ended it on a positive note because Free Guy is fantastic. Ready Player One is fantastic.
To go off the rails a little bit, I loved the book so much that the movie to me fell a little bit flat on Ready Player One. But
they had the 66 Batmobile in it.
See, you just love it because you're a Batman nerd.
That's neither here nor there.
Fair. So, anyway, that was my take on The Incredible Hulk. Ratings. Josh, we'll start with you this time.
Oh, crap. Let me roll a d20 again. 50. I mean, I can't in good conscience honestly give it any higher than that. When that's one of the few movies that I chose to fall asleep during that marathon. Yeah.
There you go. Adam?
45.
Ooh.
I mean, I really like these movies. My wife and I rewatch them probably once a year, probably twice a year if I'm being honest. But we always try to include this one, and we end up, just skipping it. So, yeah, 45.
Fair. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I do remember there were parts of it that were very entertaining. There were parts of it that I enjoyed. Did I enjoy it enough to rate it above a 60? No. I'm going to put it at about a 55, 56. It had parts, but not enough to redeem it.
Okay.
Works for me. Let's see.
I've lost track. Whose turn is it now?
I think we're back to Josh if he wants to go.
Ooh, fun. So now, next on the list, we have Thor. Oh, Thor. So we all know Thor. He's the son of Odin, who's king of the Norse gods. And Thor is destined to take his father's place as the king of Asgard. However, Thor is kind of an arrogant ass in this movie. Very entitled. And ends up being banished to Earth. I'm not going to spoil how he did it because I actually want you to go see this one if you haven't. If you haven't, head over to Disney Plus. This is not sponsored by Disney Plus. However, if Disney would like to sponsor it, by all means, let them know.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is setting the stage. It is an origin movie for Thor in that respect. I mean, aside from that, I personally was not a big fan of this one. I didn't really become a huge fan of Thor until Thor Ragnarok. But this is kind of that necessary sit-through movie for the sake of the character. A couple one-liners in the movie that make it entertaining. Thor taking the coffee cup and slamming it on the ground and demanding another. But aside from that, I was like, eh. And that's all I got to say about that.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll go ahead and jump in because I think I'm going to have some of the opposite things to say about this one, and then maybe Steve can bring us to a happy medium. But so I'll just come out and say that this is one of my favorite Marvel movies, but with the caveat that, and I know that this was not a popular comic back in the day, but for some reason, this was one that I was always interested in. Even with the weird, old English manner of speaking that it was written in. I just always found the story fascinating. Some of the good things about the movie, if I'm trying to be more objective, the costume design was super on point. The set of Asgard does an excellent job of being beautiful, opulent, but still seems alien in a way. So it really helps to drive that home. Had some good supporting cast. A couple of areas where I will concede that it fell short is some of the MCU story arcs that they included kind of were a detriment to this one. They had the whole thing with the hammer and Agent Coulson and everything. That was all fine. But then for me, there's a couple things that happen at the end of the movie that really give it a sense of finality. And then because of some of those overarching storylines in the MCU, it really robs it of that. And I don't feel like these are too big of spoilers, so I'll go ahead and throw them out there. So at the end of the movie, Thor is forced to destroy the Bifrost, which is how they travel from Asgard to Earth and back and forth, which cuts himself off from the love interest. And it's, supposed to be this big tragedy. But then at the very end of the movie, they throw in, hey, Thor will return in the Avengers. Okay. So we know that that's not going to be a thing. Obviously, they find a way around that. And then the other thing that is supposed to be a big impactful thing is Loki falling into the black hole or whatever. A big part of all the Thor movies are the relationship between Thor and Loki as adopted brothers, and kind of the animosity and the brotherhood that they feel, and how those two things are constantly at war with each other. And yet again, at the end of this movie, we're teased that Loki survived. So I feel like some of the most impactful things of the story in this movie were just, 2 minutes later, completely had the rug pulled out from under them. What do you think, Steve?
Comedically, I thought it was excellent. I thought it was a good introduction to this character. I like the idea of these old myths being aliens sent to Earth to help us. The introduction, everything, and it's going to be weird. My favorite part was Captain Victor. What was his name? Captain Victor Tupolev, Stellan Skarsgård, the Swedish actor that was the astrophysicist. I think he did a great job. I wish the voice acting coaches would have let him keep his Swedish accent, because having a Swede talk with an American accent was a little bit weird for me. And if you don't know, if you've ever watched the History Channel show, the Vikings, his son actually plays Floki. So that's a cool bit of trivia that not a lot of people know. So I thought he was the greatest part. Natalie Portman, she did okay. Chris Hemsworth, this movie kind of made him one of the it guys in Hollywood for a while, and I think it was deserved. I think his comedic timing, his acting, everything was good. Again, I'm going to agree. It was excellent up until like the last 15 minutes, and it felt almost rushed at the end. I was enjoying it so much, and then they kind of went, we're run out of time and budget, so let's just wrap this up. So,
and let's put a giant monster that has a strange resemblance of Goldar.
Yeah. So, powerful actors, powerful cast, powerful story. Kind of rushed at the end just because the timing of the writing, or the writing timing, it fell flat. But I agree with Josh. My favorite, this drink, it's delicious. I shall have another. Yeah. I guess I'll rate it. I'm gonna go 80%, or an 80 on it. There was a lot about it that I liked. A lot of it kind of fell flat for me. But overall, it was just enjoyable. This was one of those movies that I just kind of grinned from ear to ear throughout the entire thing, because it just was awesome.
Okay. What do you think, Josh? Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 77.
Ooh. I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes is... I tend to take them with a grain of salt. I have my issues with them. Rather just have Siskel and Ebert back. They were better. I would give this we'll do a weird number, 73. I mean, I enjoyed Anthony Hopkins as Odin. Kat Dennings was great.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely a highlight, and she just gets better as the MCU goes on. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, well, I rated this one a little high. I'm going to say 91. Again, just because growing up, this was my absolute favorite comic, and when I heard they were making it into a movie, I squealed like a 12-year-old girl. So 91.
That's fair. I mean,
but that's a biased 91. So
no, I loved it. This is probably the one that cemented the MCU as something that I wanted to watch, and then the second one came out.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Talk about movies. Talk about movies that suffered the sequel stigma.
Yeah. Yep.
Although, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have had the masterpiece that is Thor Ragnarok.
True.
Fair.
And I keep telling Steve he needs to watch that one because that is my favorite MCU movie of all time.
Really
of all of them.
Need to watch that one.
Oh no, I feel like because we've had you on for this for this movie segment, you will be a recurring guest every time we do a comic book movie. Just to let you know.
Sweet. So let me know when you guys review the Batman with Pattinson, because I will definitely be on for that one.
All right, I'll make a note. This is me. Paper, note.
Yeah. Let's see. His note was more of, don't ask Josh because I don't want to watch the Batman with sparkly vampire bat. Got it.
No, Robert Pattinson is actually a pretty decent actor. I can't fault him for taking a job that paid very well at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Moving along.
Is it my turn? Do I get the last one?
I think you get to bring us home.
What? All right, Avengers. My favorite. This is the first time that we got to see all of the Avengers that we've kind of talked about together on the screen at once, working together. This movie shows team dynamics. It shows how cliquey people can be at the beginning. It shows how a threat can bring people together of all different backgrounds to work for a common goal. It has comedic timing. It has great writing. It has awesome special effects, and they destroy New York. It's a win-win-win.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. New York is probably one of my favorite cities that I've ever visited, but it's just really, I love this movie. It's great. The play between the Hulk and Loki, the play between the Hulk and Thor, the play between each character brings something to the table, and the way all these characters come together and have their own unique strengths and weaknesses and how they balance each other out to create the ultimate team. It's poetic in a way, and I just loved it. Sorry, that wasn't much of a synopsis. That was basically just me writing a love poem to the Avengers, but
hey, you know what? It was fantastic. I loved your thoughts on it. Because that's really what you just did. You just said, you know what? I'm not going to go over the synopsis because you all need to watch it. Here's my thoughts.
There you go. I did a good thing, I guess.
Okay, I would agree. I think there's a fine line when it comes to these type of team up movies, because not only do you have a lot of big name characters within the comic world that you have to write in such a way that they work well together to create that cohesive unit. And I feel that was achieved here. The directing by Joss Whedon definitely paid off as far as making sure that everybody got ample screen time, Timing was right. Obviously, the effects were fantastic. Um, I'm still a huge fan of Scarlett Johansson in this one. This I think was probably one of her better movies. Although we're not going to talk about Infinity War because it's too soon. Still too soon for that. As you said, Steve, it was very poetic, and I feel that this is one of the better team up movies. I mean, this movie puts, as said, other Joss Whedon movie to shame. I'm not referring to any particular team up movie from another comic book franchise.
It did put that one to shame.
It did. And the fact that Joss Whedon had a hand in both is mind-boggling to me. The one was really good and really bad.
I don't know. It could be a chicken or the egg type of situation on that. Like Marvel came first, the Avengers were first.
Okay, are we talking in a movie sense or in a comic
We're talking
sense?
movie cinematic.
Oh,
universe.
Okay. Just want to make sure because
I'm not going to talk about Stan Lee versus amazing. Shoot, what was that 1930s comic book?
Which one are we talking here? Because
never mind. Another episode, another podcast, another show, another episode. We could go way deep down a rabbit hole.
Talk about going off the rails.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is setting the stage for the movies with this team as a whole down the road. And in order for those to be successful, you have to have a solid foundation, and this does just that. All right, Adam, how are you going to follow that up?
All right. I guess, just echo what you guys said. I don't have a whole lot to add. Joss Whedon can be kind of polarizing as a director. I definitely think this is one of his better ones. There's a lot that he does great. There's things he does that are not great. This was one of the great ones. I think this movie, it had a lot going for it. He had quite a challenge where he had to bring all of the different storylines, all of the different heroes into the same movie, give them all, enough individual screen time, enough screen time together, play them off of each other. And I think the way that he sets up the basic plot of the movie right at the beginning was a fantastic idea. He sets it up. Okay, this is the big bad. This is what we're going to do. Now let's watch everybody go do it. It keeps it simple and classic. You don't have the storyline fighting against, the other aspects of the movie. And somehow he managed to give every main character a really solid and balanced arc consistent with their character development. Iron Man finally learns to work as part of a team, right? And he even goes so far as to be willing to sacrifice himself. Captain America, as a man out of time, gets to learn that there's still hope and freedom in the world. Thor finally realizes that this idealized relationship that he wants to have with Loki is probably not going to happen. He learns to move on. Hulk even finally finds a family that can give him acceptance, and he embraces, himself for what he is. It was, I don't really have a lot of bad to say about it. In fact, I can't really think of anything bad to say about it. I think it was great.
Can we all agree that the scene with Loki and Hulk in Stark Tower is by far the best scene in the entire movie.
Best? It's up there. It's definitely
Really?
one of the most memorable scenes. I mean, the timing, everything in shambles, and then you just have puny demigod. It's comedic. It's great.
It was fantastic. Yeah.
And another reason why you need to watch Thor Ragnarok.
It's true.
Another scene that I love is at the end of the credits when they're all sitting in the Middle Eastern restaurant. The city's destroyed around them, eating shawarma. No talking, just stuffing their faces.
That would have been the best post-credit scene for this podcast. The three of us just enjoying some barbecue together, not saying a word, just ribs in the face.
Next one,
love it.
I like it. Hang around for after we do our outro to see if this happens.
Still trying to learn apparition. The Ministry of Magic hasn't cleared me just yet.
I know, and I don't quite have access to the food replicator from Star Trek yet, so.
Okay.
If only.
Yeah, I guess we've all gushed about it, so where are we rating it?
I'm going to give it a 95 because I can't. I very rarely give like a true like 100 or a 5 out of 5 on most movies. There's only one movie I can do a true 5 out of 5 or 100 on, and that was The Godfather. Nothing else.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it same 95. Just because I'm kind of the same way. There's a couple movies that would maybe be a 99 or 100, and this one's not quite up there with them, but it's close. 95.
3 95s. Congratulations, you're going to the live episodes. Sorry. I kind of always wanted to be a host on America's Got Talent, so.
You're going to Hollywood.
Yeah, same reasons. A perfect score to me is a perfect movie, and despite how amazing this movie was and how well written, acted, everything it was, I think it's just shy of perfection.
Word.
I'm trying to think if I would give any movie a perfect score, and I can't think of one off the top of my head. I guess that kind of ends our show.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in as we took a look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We had a lot of fun. Hope to be able to do it again in the future. And special thanks to Random Dude Josh for joining us. Josh, why don't you go ahead and take a second, tell our listeners where they can find you and your content.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much for bringing me onto the show. I had a blast. You can check me out at the Undercover Capes Podcast Network at undercovercapes.com. All things pop culture, DC, Marvel, indie comics, Magic the Gathering, you name it, we've got it. I'm also on the Pepper Pack Podcast. And you're probably wondering what on earth is that? I am a brand ambassador for Dr. Pepper's Pepper Pack, where we interview other ambassadors and hear their stories. And the only thing we have in common is our love for Dr. Pepper. So check that out. It is on YouTube, Facebook, all platforms. where you can get your favorite podcasts. And then I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for the Random Dude Josh and you'll find me.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks again for being on the show. I really had a lot of fun.
It was a blast. Like I said, you twisted my arm in ways that the arm shouldn't twist, and I was more than happy to come on just so you'd let go of my arm and pop it back in the socket.
You know what? I do anything for content. That sounds bad. I'm going to end the show there.
No comment.
Yeah, I don't want to see your DMs after this goes live.
Awkward.